beautiful beings. Today we're going to be talking all about cloning, and yeah, there's a lot to get to. There's a lot to talk about. Mostly I want to talk about why cloning happens, how cloning happens. There's actually different types of clones, and some of the most popular clones out there and some of the very new clones out there, like Miley Cyrus, Zac Efron, and then some of the sort of super older clones, which are like Michael Jackson, Tila Tequila, Kate Middleton. And then I'm also going to be giving you my opinion on, there are certain people out there that are talking about, say, Donald Trump and Elon Musk also being clones. So I'll give my opinion at the end about that as well, and also my opinion about Taylor Swift being a clone too. So I want to give you a bunch of info today because there is a lot of misinformation. As always, take or leave any of this information. If it resonates with you, it's for you. If not, no big deal. I gather all my information through remote viewing, and I don't expect anyone to be on board with everything because you don't have that firsthand experience that I have. And if you do, then fantastic. And I know that we're going to get to a point where everyone can remote view and validate this information for themselves. So I'm looking forward to that day, but right now I will be the bridge for you and relay this information. Before we deep dive into cloning, what it is, who's a part of it, why it happens, I have a couple of just announcements. So this month in particular, I am doing a massive book giveaway. So anyone who buys the pre-order of my next upcoming book called Your Anxiety is Giving Me Anxiety gets a completely free anxiety survival kit. It includes 12 mental health videos that are so important, and then a 24-page workbook that is really such a deep dive, very extensive, and mirrors the concepts of my book. So that survival guide should get you through until the book is actually shipped to you. So all you do is you buy the book on pre-order, you send us over a screenshot of your receipt, and we will send you over the survival guide, okay? And then coming up on November 11th, which will be 11/11, I've got my next Galactic Federation Summit, and I'm going to be answering really cool questions. We're going to be talking about hybrid projects, the hybridization of human beings, human evolution as a whole, shifting and holding the vibration. Like, how do we shift into the highest frequency and then hold that frequency? And then I'm also going to be asking about the pole shift. Where are we at in the pole shift? What can we expect moving forward? And of course, a bunch of other really cool mystery topics. So check that out. If you've got nothing to do on 11/11, I highly recommend checking out the Galactic Federation Summit. Okay, and then one more thing. If you guys are actually just really interested in the concept of cloning, I have a whole video series, I would call it, on Kate Middleton. And I'm going to go into a little bit of that information today because it is absolutely the wildest information I have ever channeled in my entire life. And that's saying a lot because my life is weird, but it's just crazy. So you can find the whole video series on my website. Just type in Kate Middleton. I don't know how many videos I have, but it's quite extensive. And if you're interested in cloning, you've got to check that out because it's next level. All right, so let's talk about the types of clones. Now, before I talk about all of this, I want to just mention how did I even come across the concept of clones? Like I've said before, I don't do any external research. I don't read books. I don't watch YouTube content on anything spirituality, ufology, paranormal. Everything I know to be true, I have channeled or seen or experienced or remote viewed firsthand. So how did I even understand that cloning was real? And it's just, when I did stumble across it, I didn't want to believe it because it's just weird. And I'm a skeptical person. So yeah. So it was back in 2011 And I was remote viewing, at the time, I was remote viewing underground military bases. And, you know, I stumbled across a lot of weird things happening, a lot of experimentation, hybrid projects, a lot of extraterrestrials in these underground military bases, mostly across North America. I explored a couple of other countries as well, mainly Russia. Anyway, and so upon one of my underground base explorations, I stumbled across a facility, is what I would call it, that I guess the only way I can describe it is a cloning facility. Yes, I know, it sounds bizarre, and I didn't know what I was looking at the time. Essentially, it was giant, like straight out of a sci-fi movie. We're looking at giant capsules, and inside these giant capsules were human bodies, some of which I recognized as different, like sort of political figures or famous people, and some I definitely did not recognize at all. I seriously could not believe what I was seeing, and that was kind of it. I kind of left it at that. I didn't tell anyone. Actually, I didn't tell anyone I was remote viewing at the time at all. I was doing all of this completely on my own. And so I didn't know what to think, and I just sort of left it. And that's when I started to explore more about what cloning was, why it happens. And then one of the first initial people that I was able to come across that they being the shadow government, cloned, was actually Michael Jackson. And I've talked about this before, so I won't go into too much detail about Michael Jackson. I do have other cloning videos where I talk about him, but he was essentially one of the first public clones out there. And this is where he kind of got deformed and he got weirder over time. So let's just talk about the different types of clones, okay? From my understanding and from what I've observed, there's 3 different types of clones, but they're not all necessarily clones. So the first type is body doubles or lookalikes. So this isn't really a clone. This is more like a hired actor who looks very similar, if not identical, to that political or celebrity or influential figure. Like I said, body doubles or lookalikes. Obviously, this is the cheapest option for the shadow government to mimic someone's appearance, is just to find someone who looks like them. The second type of clone that, once again, isn't really a clone are masks. So they've been getting really good at their like masking technology. Essentially, they just need to find a body that is the same shape and size and color as the body that they want to mimic, and then they're able to put a mask over the face. This is really good for appearances where they're not talking or communicating, you know, they're just showing their face in a crowd type of thing. And then, of course, the third sort of clone that I wanted to talk about, the main one today, is biological clones, where they actually, I know it sounds crazy, guys, but we have to realize what technology they have. We have to realize what techniques they're using to manipulate and control us. And this is a real thing that happens. It's just insane, but it is. Anyway, from what I've seen. And so that would be biological clones. They're actually growing bodies to represent the same DNA and everything as that influencer or that powerful figure. And what did I want to say about the biological clones? Essentially what they do, once they have sort of the empty vessel, is they can transfer a consciousness into, I know it's going to sound crazy, but they can transfer a consciousness. It wouldn't be the original consciousness of that body, because that's the whole reason why they're cloning them, and we'll get to that. They transfer a consciousness, then they program that consciousness with that body through a lot of like MK Ultra brainwashing type of programming. So why? Why do they clone? Why do they have body doubles? Why do they spend a lot of money and resources on this? And there's really only one answer as to why the shadow government does this. And this is not just in North America, this is all over the world. They do this so that they can better control their puppets. That's what I want to call them. It's a very derogatory term, but I will mention that. That's how we need to view these individuals. And if they believe that if they can control the most influential people on the planet, then they can control the population on the planet. That is why they clone people. Now, why do they then replace the original influencer, the original powerful person, the original political individual? It's like a whole process and a whole system. Typically, that powerful individual has already done rituals and signed contracts to be a part of that organization or that group. I have quite a few videos on, say, the Illuminati and other shadow government groups and what they do and what I've seen that they do to members, to bring members in. I have had independent sources come to me after creating these videos telling me that they were a part of those processes, and they said, I am spot on about everything that I've said about how to enter into and get into these dark, shadowy organizations, okay? Once again, all I know is what I remote view, but I've seen the same process done over and over and over again. And I've had people come to me who have been a part of that process, unfortunately, and have validated what I've seen, okay? Not, like I said, like take it or leave it. Please be skeptical and curious and open-minded and discerning. So you got to think to yourself, right? Like this person is already a part of this Illuminati sort of dark, shadowy government group. Why would they need to be replaced by either a body double or a masked individual or a full body biological clone? Why would that person, they've already signed their soul away, they've already signed their body away, why would they need to be replaced? The majority of the reason why these individuals need to be replaced is because they become essentially like unhinged. That individual becomes no longer controllable by the system. That individual feels empowered to maybe blow the whistle, to talk about what is happening truly. And when they start going off and speaking the truth, they get replaced. Now, there's a bunch of, before they get officially replaced, okay, there's a lot of other things that the Illuminati and the shadow government do to try and control that person. So what I've seen is they will all of a sudden be disappearing and going off to rehab. There was a moment where I think it was Kanye West who just like in the middle of one of his live in-person concerts, I don't know why I said in-person, I guess they're all in person. I'm not like a concert person, so I don't know. But in the middle of one of his concerts, he starts going off about like the music industry and selling his soul and how toxic it is. And all of a sudden, his world tour was ended the next day and they put him into rehab, which was just more MK Ultra programming, and he comes out of rehab with bleach blonde hair, which is always a sign that they just went through, essentially the bleach blonde hair is a sign, an Illuminati sign, that they just went through a cleansing process, okay? So there's a lot of symbolism. If you're aware enough, all you gotta do is look out for it. I used to really care about those things in the past. I just don't have the time anymore. But it's fascinating. Like it's all hidden in plain sight, right? So they used to just reprogram the influencer or the powerful person. Now the problem with reprogramming your puppet, okay, is that it requires a lot of drugs and it requires a lot of brainwashing. And what happens is there's a lot of distortion that takes place. So not only are they not actually more controllable, but they end up being like a shell of themselves, right? So if, say, the Illuminati are like, this person is really valuable because a lot of people follow them or like them or hate them or watch them or what have you, giving them more drugs to control their mind or giving them more programming to control their mind actually doesn't really work. And that's what they ended up finding out, right? So there are, and then of course, if someone really isn't following their direction, if someone really isn't following their rules or showing up to the rituals, right, one of these Illuminati players, then what happens is, and if that individual is no longer needed, okay, because they are puppets, they're slaves in so many ways, they will just kill them off. That's what happens. They just get rid of them, right? So those are kind of the things that the shadow government used to do in the past to control their puppets, to control their members. I should call them members, it's a little bit nicer. To control their members, they used to either program them, give them more drugs, do the MK Ultra, or just take them out completely. Then the technology around cloning got a little bit better. It didn't cost billions of dollars anymore to create a whole clone body. Like way back in the day, like say Michael Jackson era, like he was so influential that they wanted to test it out on him, basically. They wanted to test cloning out on him. And it didn't really work. The Michael Jackson clones, and he had multiple renditions of clones, just got worse and worse. Essentially, like a clone body only lives for so long. I don't know biology very well, but what I've observed is that it's almost like the cells, I don't know what it is, but like it's like the cells have like a half-life or something, and if they clone someone at the age of like 45, they may only have 5 to 8 years before that clone body starts malfunctioning. The technology is getting better around it, which means it's getting cheaper to create and produce clones, and it's getting faster. It's becoming faster to create and produce clones, and clones are way easier to control than, say, doing the programming, doing the brainwashing, or just taking them out completely. So this is why cloning is actually becoming more and more popular within that sort of community, okay? Okay, what else? Okay, so now let's talk about plastic surgery. I mentioned this a couple of years ago, but I want to mention it again, okay? There's a huge conspiracy, I call it a conspiracy, around plastic surgery. And this is something that I stumbled across just in my own remote viewing a couple years back. It's like, what is going on with these celebrities and their faces? Like, why are their faces changing so drastically? And when I was looking into this, it was very clear that plastic surgery has become popularized to cover up the entire cloning conspiracy. I know. Once again, it sounds crazy. It took me so many years to even just accept and then publicly state what I know or what I've seen around cloning. And I get that it makes me look absolutely crazy, but that's cool. I will take the blame. I will freaking show up and look like the crazy unhinged person. But it's true, cloning is real. And they try and cover up cloning and these small slight differences in the clone bodies, or even the look-alike bodies, through plastic surgery. Everything is a plastic surgery write-off. Wow, look at Zac Efron. He got a different jaw. Like, I don't know what kind of freaking implant creates a jaw like that, but it does not look normal. Miley Cyrus, I don't know if you guys have seen her recently, looks like a completely different person. So same thing, like, I don't know, are these clones? Are they body doubles? Is this some sort of weird mask? I'm not sure. But I know for sure that plastic surgery is their way of covering up the cloning conspiracy. And that really got started with Michael Jackson. They were able to completely write off the before and after of Michael Jackson just by plastic surgery. Yep, he had vitiligo and a bunch of plastic surgery, and that's why he looks completely different. And people accepted it. And so they went with it. And they're like, this is a great avenue. This is a great excuse. Anyway, so yeah. And then what else? I have mentioned this before in I think another cloning video, but Tila Tequila, way back in the day. So this must have been, I think around 2012. And I stumbled across a video of her. I was never a fan or anything, but I stumbled across a video. She was talking about the industry. She was talking about sort of the Illuminati and this group of like underground individuals and like all this stuff and how she was a part of it and doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. All of those videos were deleted, and then all of a sudden she came out on like Twitter back in the day and started doing a lot of weird, like, I don't want to say the words because I don't want to get like shadow banned or whatever, but she started doing a lot of weird political things and like German things, if I can call it that, like World War II type of things. Anyway, and it was just like such a change of, it was like a different Tila Tequila. It was bizarre. So I saw that kind of go down. So let's just talk about the signs of a clone. How do you spot a clone? All right. So usually before a clone takes over, there is a celebrity, a politician, or an influential individual who gets a little unhinged, who all of a sudden starts speaking the truth, who starts going off, who starts basically whistleblowing, okay? That's how it starts, because that's why they basically clone them and then take them over. And then there's usually a period of, like, they're usually out of the public eye. Maybe they go on a long vacation. They don't show their face for a long time. They don't do public appearances for a long time. Maybe they go off to rehab, right? But there's usually a period in time where they are missing. And that could be anywhere between like, really like 3 and like 9 to 10 months. This is unfortunately where they are gotten rid of, and then the clone body is being like initiated and programmed or whatever. And then they come out into the public for the first time in a long time, and woo, they got a new face. They've got some plastic surgery. They're very open usually about the plastic surgery because that's the perfect excuse. And what else? Oh yeah, and then there's usually a sudden and drastic change in their political views. I mean, look at Eminem, for example. Like, talk about completely different political views. And then sometimes after the clone is out there, they are either less in the spotlight or much more in the spotlight. Like, oh, we haven't heard from Zac Efron in a long time, and boom, here he is, you know, completely different face, now more in the spotlight, maybe because of the different face, I don't know. Same thing with Miley Cyrus, like everyone's talking about her new face. Okay, cool. And then what else did I want to say? So the ones who do not get replaced, okay, the puppets or the members of the Illuminati who are not replaced by a clone body are typically very, very compliant. So whatever they are asked to do, hey, we need you in a relationship with this person, and they're like, yep, roger that, I will be in a public relationship with this person, I'll do whatever you want me to do. They are not replaced because they are compliant. One of the people that I believe that has not been replaced, that is a massive influential figure, is actually Taylor Swift. I haven't looked into her recently, so I don't fully know, but last time I looked into her, she was still in her original body, which gives me a lot of hope that there's a possibility that she could be a really big whistleblower it's almost like they have to blow the whistle and say it all right away in a very public way because they know that they're going to get replaced or just offed, basically. Okay, so now let's go to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. So there are some people out there who do claim that Trump and Musk have clone bodies. I cannot substantiate this claim. I really actually can't confirm or deny the claim. I have remote viewed both Elon and Trump a number of times. I have not seen necessarily that they have been replaced. Doesn't mean that they have or have not, because I haven't looked into them and really asked the question. But I know a lot of people are saying, yes, for sure, there's like multiple. I don't know, like, part of me is like, I don't know. It just feels like sometimes some people use cloning as a good excuse to be like, well, this person says one good thing that I agree with and one bad thing that I don't agree with, and it must just be two different. Do you really think that the Illuminati would have like the original version of a person who is like spouting the truth and have some like evil clone body running around out there? No, there's no way. These things are all, they're all like organized. These are very specifically organized dynamics. And the shadow government would never risk that. So I don't know. I can't confirm or deny that with either one of those. So sorry about that. Like I said, guys, if you are interested in cloning, and you want to know more about the Kate Middleton story, essentially, just in short, she was about to leave the royal family, which would have been a huge disaster for the royal family. And instead of letting her leave, they ended up taking her out and replacing her with a clone body. And this is when I started gathering way more details about cloning, how it's done, the specifics of how a body is formed and then programmed. Like, it is so freaking wild. It is so, so wild. And then I did something that I thought was like really, really crazy, which is like inserting the original consciousness of Kate Middleton back into her clone. Anyway, it got really crazy. And I'm telling you that, anyway, that is all documented in a video series. It is on my website if you want to know more about that. If you want to pop some popcorn and just have a really good night in with like 6 hours of videos, you want to check out the Kate Middleton series on the website. I do have to do a little check-in on her, but I think she's doing really well now. Anyway, yeah, so if you're interested in cloning, check that out, because you really just won't get a sci-fi movie even close to what that series is. And then you get to see me remote view live and discover all this information live as well, which is pretty cool to see, right? And then, yeah, once again, if you have anxiety, if this video gives you anxiety, I'm sorry about that, but definitely pre-order my book, Your Anxiety is Giving Me Anxiety, and right now we are giving away a really incredible anxiety survival kit that should help you now until the time that the book comes in. And I will see all of you on November 11th for the next Galactic Federation Summit. I love you guys so, so much. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this with a friend, because we all need a little cloning info in our lives. Bye for now.